Welcome back to the Rugby Pod on Spotify. I'm Andy Rowe, Big Jim and Goody are with me as usual. We'll be looking back at all the action from round one of the Premiership. Then we'll take a look ahead to the start of the new United Rugby Championship this week. Plus, friend of the show, Freddie Burns is joining us after his return to Leicester. So settle back, enjoy, and make sure you're subscribed on Spotify. How are we, lads?
How are you? How are you?
How are you? Yeah, how the devil are you, Andy Rowe? Because you look like you're absolutely fucked.
Mate, missed my flight in Ibiza. I've got staples in my forehead. I've got a gash down the front of my leg, a massive bruise. I don't know how that got there. I've got cuts in my mouth. I've lost a tooth.
And all hangover. That is truth. It's Goody. I know we've been having chats. Should we let the millions know? Because everyone thought, Andrew, that we were meant to be in Ibiza this weekend. Who anyone who watched the rugby would know that you weren't there. But for me, I've been IMO. What's it called when you're under the radar? What's it called?
MIA?
Missing in action.
I've been MMA. I've been MMA this weekend. I have been in Ibiza. I was there for 2 days and cut my trip short. Shall I tell the millions of people why?
Go on.
Fire away, Jim. Fire away. Well, set the scene, Jim. Basically, we're all supposed to go. I had a load of work come in sort of middle of last week, so I had to pull out, and I feel like I let you down. But then, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear this story, I'm fucking glad I didn't go, boys. I am very glad I did not go.
All I know is I've turned up on Thursday. I've gone via Turkey, Alicante, and I've landed in Ibiza about midday. I've been up since 3 a.m. I land, and Beck, my wife, says to me, she said, "Who's there then?" I'm like, "No one." I don't know why no one's there. Apparently, they're all getting there Friday, apart from Andy Rose coming in Thursday. And your good self, Andrew, was meant to come in on Friday, who never came on Friday. Anyway, let's just cut to the chase, right? I've been there Thursday all day waiting for Andy Rowe. We've gone out for a beer or two. No word of a lie, listeners and viewers. I saved a fucking life on the streets of Ibiza. I saved a man's life.
It's true.
Not any man's life. Andy Rowe's life.
Jeez.
I will rewind to what happened, but I had my fingers in his mouth. There's blood all over me. It is a scene out of the movie Platoon. I am taking a fellow human off the front line on the streets of Ibiza. And I mean, Andy Rowe won't remember all this, but as this is happening, right, you're thinking the people of Ibiza help. There is a wounded soldier here on the floor. I'm dragging him like Platoon, a dead weight, trying to get him off the front line. Some black guy's offering me a bandana and weed. I don't know what weed is or what he means in that sense. I don't know if that helps. I'm asking for an ambulance. I don't know whether it's 999. I don't know whether it's 911. I don't know whether it's 6969 to call an ambulance, but I couldn't call one. Andy Rowe has fainted in front of me. He's hit the deck, lads. He's hit the deck. There's, I don't know, heat stroke, exhaustion, stress. I don't know.
First day of your stag, a few beers with Jim responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
Jim's obviously pushing the pace, and then he's picking you off the pavement.
I don't know what happened. I think it might have been heat stroke. But yeah, there's blood everywhere. Staples in my face now. But yeah, if Jim wasn't there, I don't know what would happen. I would have been, still, well, I'm still on my better. I'm all over the place.
Andy and Andrew. Humbly, I saved the life, and I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay there much longer. I just had to get back and hug my kids and hug my wife. And I left Andy Rowe there, and well, he said it himself. He's still there now.
So this
is tooth on the pavement. There's blood on my shoes, and I don't know what Andy Rowe. I don't know what I need or I want from you right now, but you owe me something. I don't know what it is, but you're welcome is all I'm going to say. The wedding's still going ahead, and if you could get back from Ibiza, that is.
Were they new shoes? Were they new shoes, Jim? Were they the white crocodile skin ones that you wore with Dino that time to the disciplinary hearing? Well, I mean, elaborate.
Straight black boots with a steel toe cap in case it kicks off in Ibiza. That's all I had on. It was a bloody scary 24 hours. And if I hadn't had the experiences of war like I have in my life, and Scrappy doing the Marbella with the Colskins, then another man might have been floored. I might have fainted. But Andy Rowe, I'm glad you're all right. Get home safely, and let's get through this podcast admirably and talk about all the rugby that you've been watching whilst you've been there.
And we don't have any bracelets to tell you, but we do have a few people that have been asking for Rugby Pod stash. We've got a new range of the t-shirts that have come onto the website, 80.club/rugbypod. You can also check it out on our social media channels as well. There's the Mauler to the car sheds and back for the forwards, and tip of the slipper for the backs, as well as the crowd's favourite pod rugby pod. So make sure you go and get yourself sorted out with that. Premiership.
Oh, hold on a minute, Andy Rowe. Before
Let's
we go,
talk about the stash.
I just love the way you've just fast forwarded through everything, and you basically deny, reaccuse. Jackie, your missus, must be absolutely raging, and all you're keen to do is get on with talking Premiership rugby. The masses want more, mate. The millions want more.
Andrew, Goody, let's just talk though about how we spoke about the merchandise. If we sell one T-shirt off the back of your advertisement, mate, I will eat 3 T-shirts. 3 for 1. 3 for 1. If that ain't selling a T-shirt, I don't know what fucking is.
I'm sure every listener out there can appreciate Andy Rowe is an absolute hole trying to do a podcast today.
He nearly died.
Thanks,
We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there. So he nearly died. Jim saved his life. He's had 3 more days in Ibiza. He's missed his flight. He just wants to get this through.
Can we talk about the Premiership now? Goody,
let's go.
Goody, you were up northeast, the start of Harlequins' defence of their title. You predicted that they'd finish as low as 7th. What'd you make of them? How'd they get on?
I mean, they're champions. A champion team rocks up day one and goes up to Newcastle and wins. And they did. It was quite an exciting game, actually, not because of the sheer quality rugby that was on show. Loads of turnovers, loads of exciting runners. I thought Tommaso Allen stepped into Marcus Smith's shoes really well. He doesn't like being called Tommaso, so we're going to call him Tommaso on this podcast. Tommy Allen, apparently he's told us that that's what he wants to be known as. So Tommy Allen was on fire for Quins. Danny Kerr pulled the strings, took an intercept himself. His little legs couldn't get him all the way to the line. And then a forward passes it over the top, and it is a forward pass. But then he gave an intercept to Newcastle as well. But he played really well in attack, just really shifting the point of focus for Quins. And Newcastle had their chances. Adam Radwan, he was phenomenal for Falcons. Obviously, he got 3 tries on debut for England against Canada in the summer. And then he's comfortably, and I've seen a lot of Premiership flyers, he's the fastest on 2 legs in the Premiership, easily, I reckon. He rinsed Johnny May last year for a try up there at Newcastle. You know, Lewis Rees-Summit actually would have a good ding with him. But yeah, I mean, Stevens on the wing was outstanding as well for Newcastle. He had a chance to really pull them back in it and should have probably scored himself or given a 2v1 to score. And Newcastle has a lot of positives. A very young back line. Carl Ferns was there. He was just going around trying to bang boys. His nose is halfway across his face, probably from that piss-up that he mentioned when he first rocked up at Newcastle last year in this, if you remember that one from back in the podcast. But yeah, Quins play well. They've got quality. You don't win the Premiership by fluke, although it was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. They've got Lewis Liner's a brilliant player. Tommy Allen stepped in for Marcus Smith as a new sign-in, had a dream debut. Esther Hazen's a big old boy, and yeah, they've got some qualities about them. Do I still think they'll finish 7th? Maybe they'll finish 6th now. But they got away with a victory, got a bonus point. If they can improve their defence, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with because they've got all the attacking intent in the world. But my point is this year, there's a lot of teams that have improved hugely over the summer in terms of their squad depth and quality. And yeah, I still think Quins will finish outside the top 4.
The top 2 from last season, Bristol and Exeter. Bottom 2 after round 1. Did either of you see that coming?
Well, I watched the Bristol Saracens game with one eye on Friday, still in Ibiza. I don't know how I got it there, actually, but I did. I don't know whether I'm going to get deplatformed now for saying that. Who knows? But I got it there. I don't know. I was watching it.
Who goes to Ibiza and watches the Ruggers?
Well, I tell you, I was in shock. I was under my quilts. I was desperate to get home. And I'd had a good day at the beach. I'd saved Andy Rowe's life, and we'd had a good few beers at the beach. And it was just all out Ruggers. I just wanted to get home and back to work, Andrew, and that I did. I mean, again, I took a bit of shit last week. I know the Rugby Pod have been putting out a few memes across their platforms about some of the ridiculous stuff that I've said. One of them being, or two of them being, that I didn't think Exeter or Bristol would make the top four. I'm not saying that I told you so after week one, but my word, Sarries absolutely dominated Bristol's. Now, we love Bristol's on it. We've had loads of the lads on from Bristol. We've had Pat Lamb. We love him, everything that they stand for. Again, I questioned Saracens last week with a team that I feel is in transition. How are they going to go this season? Now, there's a lot of young lads playing in the game. Lazowski at 10, who we had on the back end of the season after the Montpellier final, and him coming back to Saracens. On paper, they look like a brand new team, and you're thinking, hopefully it'll be close for Sarries. Likelihood is Ashton Gate, Bristol's first game, even without Semi Radradra, they're going to win. Absolutely dominated all facets of the game. And this is the thing around rugby and around the foundations of rugby. And it's been great to see the evolution of Quins and Bristol and loads of the games that we saw at the back end of the season. But unfortunately for the haters who didn't think that was a good game and didn't like some of the games at the weekend, defence and kicking game, which Saracens are built on, which they were built on 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it's probably 7 years ago now. God, since I retired, I can't even think. It feels like yesterday. It was built on what was perceived as a boring foundation. It's actually what they've gone back to in terms of start of the Prem, keep it simple, get the kicking game spot on whoever you've got in there. No Wigglesworth, no Farrell, and that's what it was built on, and that's how they played. And there was a couple of wicked touches by Lazowski. I don't know if people know, I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but any new listeners, he was in the football academy for Chelsea or something like that.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I mean, that kick that went through. Again, it's another kick. Do you know what I mean? It's another kick on top of, 100 loads of other kicks that we saw in the game. So they were saying in commentary, oh, there's another kick. But that's what Saracens do best. And Bristol tried to play that similar game. They didn't chance their arm, but Saracens were so good in defence. And I think it's a massive win in week one at Ashton Gate. The season's not over for Bristol. I don't know when Semi Radradra is back, but he is the best player for me, if not in the top three, the best player in the world. And we saw that last season. So a huge win for Saracens, and they've still got their stars to come back in a few weeks.
Yeah, it was massive. And I was really impressed with Aled Davis as well at 9. His box kicking was quality, because to fit into the Saracens' way, you are going to add some of your own strengths, and he's an exciting young 9, but he's also a guy that seamlessly fitted in. His box kicking was on point. Lazowski was unbelievable. Tompkins was brilliant as well, I thought. And then some of the old stages, Ben Earl and Jackson Ray. Ben Earl, going back to his old club, got absolutely done by Charles Peartout at one point. To the point of, I think his soul left his body as he got stepped and rinsed by...
Would you rather be run over by a 15 or that happened to you? I've had it both. I've had it both. The Georgian 15 sat me down and the winger ones.
Yeah, I think you'd rather just get stepped because you just applaud. Whereas if a fullback runs over a back rower and just sits you down, then it's more of a man test, isn't it? So, yeah, listen, Sarries were good. And when you start listing some of the players that have got to come back, Farrell, Good, obviously Mako Napola, Jamie George, Elliot Daly, Mara Toji, the list is pretty phenomenal. So Saracens are going to be in a good place. I predict them to be in the top 4. Alex Lazowski played 10, played unbelievably well. I'm just going to say to all the Saracens fans out there, you are absolutely welcome. 2 reasons. One, he was coming through at Wasps when I was towards the end of my career, and I took him under my wing and I said, Shag, don't do what I do. You're way better than that. Upskill yourself and look how good he is now. And the second thing is he phoned me up because we had a good relationship. He phoned me up when he was talking to a few other clubs and he said, what do I do, Andy? I said, who are you talking to? He said, Saracens. I said, mate, sign there tomorrow. So you're welcome, Saracens fans. I do good things for that club sometimes. Not very often, but sometimes.
And Leicester saw off the Chiefs quite comfortably in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. It was a proper Leicester performance with, a lot of power. I mean, Joe Simmons, how are you? When Nandolo's just ran over him, I mean, that poor bugger sees a 25-stone unit come in quick as you like, runs over him. Leicester, they're a proper, well-balanced team, I think. You've got Harry Potter on one wing, the magician, Nandolo on the other. You've got the grunt up front again, which was, interspersed with some youth up there. George Martin, banging boys for fun. As we said that about him last year, didn't we, Jim? Ben Youngs was on form. George Ford was excellent. taking it to the line. He's brilliant at that. When he's on the front foot, there isn't many better fly halves. So, they've got a lot of good young players, some older boys and some proper hard boys. And they're still, like Saracens, like we talked about, they've still got a lot of boys to come back as well. So you go Jasper Wiese, Van Staden, they had a fair few injuries as well.
They've got another winger, Goody, coming through, and you have to excuse me because I don't know his name, but he's a Japanese Tongan. And I was chatting to Deeks about him, and he said he is phenomenal. Really? He said he's one of the hardest grafting players he's ever seen, and this is no disrespect to Tongans or South Sea Islanders, but we do know that when they're out of contract, they're usually 60% better than when they're not, which means they're still 100% better than everyone else. But so that's what I mean, the balance that they've got, Goody. And again, we spoke about Leicester, 2-3 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was now. We were just sat here, we talked about the relegation. Yeah. And then I put a tweet out at the weekend saying, I think Leicester will win today, extra missing players, but then you've just gone through it there. But they're missing players as well. I think this is going to be a hell of a season for them. They're lacking in a couple of positions. Shall I tell you which ones I think?
Go on, James.
Oh, I don't know whether I should, because I feel like if I do go there again, no one will speak to me again. Tight Ed.
Well, you've been honourable, mate. Joe Hayes after Coley. And Joe Hayes wasn't even involved at the weekend.
Yeah, Joe Hayes is obviously a quality player coming through.
Coley played well.
Coley, yeah. Mate, Coley's...
He must be out of contract.
He's 34, mate. He's a quality player, but you need a proper tight. They've got Genji, they've got a couple of Montoya, some really good hookers. Second row's another one. They obviously lost Thomas Lavanini, not that he did much in the shirt, but I think Callum Green's a good player. Harry Wells has really stepped up, but I think they need another second row. The back row's sorted. They're all South African. Scrum half as well. They're well equipped in that position as well, and I think they just need a couple of other forwards to really... Premiership's one thing, Europe's another. We don't want to get carried away with it. But the young lads they've got coming through as well, Dan Kelly in the centre, Freddie Stewart, who we had on as well, fantastic. So, love the look of that team. And from a selfish and personal point of view, Andrew, two Leicester greats just sat here just chewing the fat about how they played against Exeter. But for rugby, in that sense of having a quality Leicester team, I think they're still the most followed team. If the game's on TV or whatever, or there's something that lies behind the analytics of that they're one of the most well-supported teams in Europe still.
Yeah, it was. It's great to see it. Being at Welford Road and seeing all the fans back and the cheer that goes round and the actual noise that the fans make. There's proper noise as well. It's not just a bit of fake crowd noise that we've had on in the stadiums over the last 18 months. But I'll be up and down there quite a bit this year at the games. I'll be in the corporate hospitality areas, James, doing a bit of work. It's great to see Leicester back and the place bouncing because the fans are back. The team started on the front foot and hopefully it will continue.
Worried about Exeter, Andrew, quickly or not? I'm the big headline comments are all over social media. They weren't really. Was the Bristol and the Exeter thing. Do you think Exeter have got enough when you look at it and who they've got to come back in?
Yes,
you do. Okay.
Yeah. When you go Stuart Hogg, Sam Simmons, Luke Karansicki, you start naming a few of them. Harry Williams didn't play at the weekend. There's plenty of depth.
Johnny Gray, Johnny Hill.
Gray,
mate, actually, God, what am I talking about?
The Exeter team was missing a similar sort of quality of players as what we spoke about Saracens. The thing is, they've walked into a Leicester team who were bang on form. I don't think Leicester had any British and Irish Lions for the first time in God knows how long. Leicester were primed, so it's great for Leicester. Don't worry about Exeter, pal. They'll be top four.
Well, speaking of the Tigers, we can have a chat now with a man who made his return for the club at the weekend. Freddie Burns joins us. How are you, mate?
Hey, lads. All right? Yeah, I'm good. I've got a bit of mascara under my eye, but other than that, I'm all right.
Freddie, we'll come on to that. We tried to get George Ford to come on. He weren't keen, so we had to get you this time again.
Mate, that's my new role, mate.
No, it's nothing to do with your role. It's more to do with I don't think he likes us. It'd be great to have George Ford on at some point. Hey, if you win the Prem this season, you never know. He might give us a gift before, if the rumours are true, that he moves on. So, has he ever mentioned the rugby pod? Because last, I don't know if you know this, Freddie. I don't know if you were there, but when I went back to Leicester, you've got to think. Like, I was vice captain of the club. I was captain of the A team there, and we did a documentary for Rugby Pass. And I've walked in. I thought, the gates were going to be open. Jim, how are you? Like, the training ground's yours. Some of the looks I was getting off some of the boys, Coley, Youngsy called me out for talking crap on this podcast. And maybe a few of them are like that. Do they mention the podcast or not, Freddie?
Mate, not really, not that I know of, mate. Not at the minute.
Everyone then.
Everyone is.
No, wait. What I mean to say is not in bad terms, mate. That's all I know. It's just that, you know what it's like. It's still a very old school club, mate. Still quite a few boys with a very old school mentality. But like Jim, I remember when you used to roast me for being on social media, mate. And now look at you. Do you know what I mean? People realise that after your career, you need social media to try and keep you relevant, mate. And everyone's hopping on it.
Going back to the Leicester thing, imagine getting Steve Borthwick and George Ford on the podcast. I mean, how dry would that be? But Freddie, how good is it to be back at Leicester? You've obviously fitted in pretty seamlessly. I can imagine, seeing all the social media posts that you do put up over. It's probably about 100 a day. Pictures of you in the gym with the guns out, training hard, pulling faces while you're passing the long ball. How's it been, mate? You must be very happy to be back. You've had a great and a tough kind of 2 years, really, haven't you? In terms of when we spoke around how things were in Japan, you enjoyed the rugby, but geez, it was hard living there because of the lockdowns and everything. How are you? You must be happy to be back.
Mate, I'm buzzing to be back. And I think the thing with Japan and what it taught me, without getting too philosophical and all that, mate, it just taught me to probably put my ego to one side a bit, and how sort of being in the Premiership and playing, like it taught me that I'm still very competitive. And then obviously we spoke about it before, but when the call come from Steve, we were able to have a pretty honest conversation about my role in the team. So, mate, I'm competitive. I want to start as many games as I can, but I also understand that my value in this team will probably come a little bit later on in the season when potentially 40's away with England, and we lose a few boys. So, at the weekend in the past, I'd probably be fuming only playing sort of 10 minutes when the game was kind of won. But right now I'm staying patient. I've got trust in the coaches because the conversations that we've had have been pretty open and honest. And yeah, mate, I'm just loving being back. I'll take what minutes I get at the moment, and when I do get an opportunity, I'll take it. So I'm just enjoying taking the pressure off myself, mate. Not trying to force anything and just enjoying it. But the atmosphere is good. It's a very hard working atmosphere, as you boys would have heard under Steve. But there's a purpose to everything we do. So I'm loving it, mate. And to be back at Welford Road with the crowd there on Saturday, beating a Chiefs team quite convincingly as well was a great start to the season.
Yeah, look, class. Freddie, what's Steve like then in terms of the chats that you've had? Because when I look at Steve Borthwick, it's twofold. And I know what he was like as a player at Saracens, having watched him, having played against him loads, what he's done in coaching with England, the Lions, Bath were after him, Bristol. I think he signed for Bristol, however it all kind of unfolded. But you look at the way that he coaches, and you look at the way, and I know how he coaches because I've got people on the inside, and he's obviously done a fantastic job. You look at the way he speaks to the media, it's obviously something that he's probably not a huge fan of. Then you look at players like yourself, and I say that in the best kind of fashion, put yourself out there, you like a laugh, but also with him making Genji captain and the way that Genji is, both as a character, he does another podcast, he's on social media, them kind of things. So it's almost like he's brought a bit of the old school. He is old school, but he understands that you need characters like yourself, and the guys mentioned it on commentary, not just what you do on the pitch, but what you do off the pitch as well, but also having the balls to make someone like Genji captain as well, in the front row, which is a little bit unheard of, is having a front row captain, but also the way that Genji is, and the fact that he's out there in the media as well.
Yeah, I think with Steve, one thing that I found fascinating is he is who he is, and he's probably very similar to how he was when you played with him, Jim, in terms of very intense. He's a serious bloke, mate. He's a DOY, and he needs to get results. But at the same time,
do you say boring then?
I've been surprised that how he's very aware of not his downfalls, but areas that. So he's aware that he's not maybe just like a happy kind of just sort of bouncing around the place kind of guy. But you then end up having Aled Waters, who is the Springbok conditioning coach, and he kind of brings that energy, that fun side of things, similar. So he's very aware of the personalities within the team and how you need a sort of collective bit of everything. So again, like with Genji being captain, Genji's captain because the way he goes about his business is very Tigers-like, in the fact that he's confrontational, He's grown so much, even in the time that when he first arrived, when I was there, to now, he's developed into a top international player. But then Gedge will be the captain, but there's other guys in the squad that have their roles. You know, I know my role in the squad is, like I said, from a playing point of view to play, but also around the place is to try and bring a bit of energy in and stuff like that. And again, with the coaching setup, you know, you've got Rich Wigglesworth doing a little bit, you've got Smithy, you've got Deeks, you've got Kev Sinfield. They're all different personalities, bringing their own different traits in. So as much as Steve is who he is, he's very aware of what he lacks in certain other aspects, and that's what he's brought in and got around him. So, you know, they say about delegation is a great sign of leadership, and I think Steve's done that pretty well.
So structurally then, which sort of coach has which area to look after? Because, you know, Kev Sinfield, you're saying he's defence coach there. I'm sure he's got plays, you know, at the line and attacking plays that he wants to implement as well. But his role is purely just defence. Who's running the attack these days?
Yeah, well, they all sort of chip in. Obviously, got Smithy running the attack. Rich Wigglesworth has obviously come in, sort of player coach now as well. And it's a real, you know, and also, you know, you've got Fordy, you've got myself, you've got Ben Youngs, you've got Matt Scott, you've got Nandola, you look across the squad, there's plenty of experience there that know how to attack and run a game. So it is a real collective effort. And that's one thing that I've found most refreshing at Leicester. And, you know, I don't want to talk ill of former clubs. I'm kind of done with that kind of thing now. But, you know, at clubs I've been at in the past, Bath, it was almost everyone kind of looking after themselves, mate. Whereas here, there's a real collective to like, no. So, for instance, if Smithy's got an idea about the attack, he won't go to like just 40 and then I have to try and hear it secondhand from someone. There'll be a mini meeting called, we'll get in and we'll get everyone's opinion. That includes someone like a young lad like Dan Lancaster who's just come in. So there is a real, everyone's trying to just get the best out of each other because we realise our roles in the team and the effort it's going to take. So, you know, it's working well so far. Obviously, it's all good when you come out of pre-season and you win the first game of the season. There's still however many Premiership games left. So it'll be interesting what happens if we lose a couple. But right now, that the cohesiveness and sort of tightness of the group to develop and get better is some of the best I've been involved in.
I put a tweet out before the game, don't know if you saw it, that I thought Leicester would beat Exeter at the weekend. You obviously did comfortably. Now, we all know what the Leicester old school DNA is. Borthers has brought that in. The club's been stripped out, let's be honest. From top to bottom, it's been stripped out. And it needed to happen. We all know that. You've obviously gone away, you've come back in. The thing that impresses me most is I'm listening to stuff happen on the pitch. I'm listening to interviews after. We had Freddie Stewart on here as well. I'm hearing the Leicester twang of some of the players. So there's a real kind of, not just going back to the driving mauls, which we saw, the set piece, which looks great, the physicality, is there seems to be a heartbeat now of young Leicester lads coming through. And again, having been there, and we did a documentary on the academy, they won it 2 or 3 years in a row, the quality coming through, just a few lines on guys like George Martin, Freddie Stewart, you know, John Hayes and these players coming through. Are they going to go all the way? Because again, I tweeted about Freddie Stewart thinking that he's going to go all the way with England, but I thought he was class at the weekend.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. Like, I think sometimes, I remember chatting to my little brother last week, and he said, "Oh, what's the team?" So I sort of texted him the team through, and he did say, "Don't I said, they're not like household rugby names yet. You don't really know much of them, and then yet you fit the TV on Saturday and you watch that game." George Martin, I've never seen a guy hit like him at the weekend. Like, he was just
low as well, and low.
And then for your Freddie Stewart, I know he got capped in the summer, and I know George has been around the England setup as well. But like these young lads, Dan Kelly at 12. So there's a real balance at the minute of like youth and experience. I know it's the old cliche, but there is, and these boys are coming through. You know, I'm sat on the bench at the weekend, and I'm there going, right, I'm probably covering 10 and 15, and I'm sat there, and the game's going on, and it was sort of, you know, we weren't sort of clear till that last sort of try. And I'm thinking, I can't come on here because, you know, at the minute, because Fordy's going well. And then Freddie Stewart under the high ball, mate, was just phenomenal.
Dominating.
So
yeah.
There is like this real young balance. And yeah, just the balance of the squad and stuff seems great. But those young boys coming through, and like I say, like Joe Hayes wasn't even involved at the weekend. You know, you see guys like that just that aren't playing. and you suddenly realise that the strength and depth in this squad now is looking good. And like you say, when you've got a heartbeat of young local boys that have come through the academy, it only ups the sort of drive and commitment, really.
I called him John.
You did call
him John.
Yeah, you did. John Hayes is a bit different. He's a big Irish prop, Jim. Yeah,
that's fine.
Freddie, let's talk about the match day then, because ultimately, getting the fans back at Welford Road, I was up there. It was absolutely bouncing, and a couple of questions really. Firstly, you're on the bench. Is the old tradition of the youngest kid on the bench gets the sweets in? Is that still going strong?
Well, there was sweets. I'm not sure who bought them, but there were sweets. There were sweets around. So I'm not sure the young boys even buy them anymore, mate. Like, they get it easy now, Goody. I remember having the exams jock strap jacked in my head, and I had to go and flip them in, wash it. Jim, were you in Edinburgh?
Ate it.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with me, but I think I made you eat it. But
go home from training, go and lie down. I just get the exam dirty jock strap, and I'm told to go and find some detergent or whatever in a laundrette and wash everyone's kit. And they're these boys are just getting it easy, mate. They don't even buy the sweets anymore.
Yeah, and then secondly, just the cheer when you came on was phenomenal, wasn't it? And it was the hairs on the back of my neck stood up when that goes up, because it obviously means a lot for the fans to see you back, and I know how happy you are back there as well. You must have had a bit of a buzz from that.
Oh, definitely, mate. And I think if I was pretty happy in Japan, obviously it was tough with COVID and stuff like that. But when I was deciding, when my agent called me up and said, what are you thinking next year? I was like, look, the only way I'll come back is if it's either Leicester or probably at Gloucester. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to go to maybe like another Premiership club and start again. I'd want to. And then when Steve was involved, the fact that I have that relationship with the supporters was just a huge pull for me, mate. And it is nice. You get on, good cheer and stuff. Obviously, I would have liked to have come on with a little bit more in the game, and you sort of come on. It's not really a rugby match because they're just running from everywhere, and you're sort of just D'ing up. But now we're lucky at Tigers with the quality supporters, so to have that relationship was great. And hopefully, like I say, as the season goes on, we can just play better and better, and we'll get more bums on seats.
And finally, Freddie, post-match, is it the old school haunts again? Were you out in Leicester? The monster, was he around?
No, actually, mate, I tell you what, at the minute, right, Goody, I'm going to be honest, I can't wait for a night out in Terrace, mate. Right?
The Terrace is the only place to go, right?
Exactly. But the problem is, I'm obviously platinum lace after, but that's no. Anyway, I don't have a dance, by the way. I just sit in the bar because it's the only place that stays open late, all right?
There you go.
Freddie, all I remember about them places is that because we used to scrap in the Terrace, nowhere else would let us in. So we used to have, as young lads, used to have a mass brawl in there. Deeks is normally front in there, and then nowhere else would let us in. They'd radio into all the other nightclubs and bars. Double 99, don't let the lads in. And that was it.
Mate, I remember doing an end of season fancy dress. I went as Freddie Mercury from Break Free. So I'm in the pink top, leather skirt, fishnet tights, and I wore black trainers. And I went to get in the Terrace, and the bouncer stopped me. The only reason he stopped me goes, you can't come in, you're wearing trainers. I said, so I ain't the fucking fishnet tights and leather skirt. You know what I mean? No, mate, I've not had a night out. And just to go back, because at the minute it's so hard, because obviously we still test for COVID. And as much as the majority of the squad now are double jabbed, if you still get it, there's a chance that you have to shut training down or can't play games and stuff like that. So it's all, you just try and you don't want to be the guy who's responsible for shutting training down or missing a game now, because what was it, a 5 point straight away or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's that balance of I enjoy a few drinks still, but at the minute I'm just sort of erring on the side of caution. But hey, I still have a couple. We went out with mum and dad, got her steaming, got mum on the red wine, and then I bought myself a sauna, boys. Like a one-person sauna.
I've seen this, yeah. Sweating out.
I locked mum in it, pissed up, and she was panicking. Wipe the heat up, mate. Fucking class.
All right, Freddie. Well, best of luck for the rest of the season, mate. Thanks very much for coming on the show. Great to see you, and look after that eyeball.
Cheers, lads. Speak to you later.
Good man, Freddie.
Cheers, Freddie. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, boys.
Top lad.
Yeah, he really is, isn't he? He really is. It's great to see him back. And honestly, the cheer at Welford Road on Saturday when he came on was phenomenal. He is a fan's favourite there, and it's great to see him back. He's happy. He wants to get out and smash a bit more. But it's actually quite refreshing to hear him say he knows his place, he understands his position, because he's going to have a massive impact on that team this year. And he's going to be frustrated when Ford plays. He only got 10 minutes, but he's really matured as a bloke, hasn't he, as well? and understanding where he's at. And honesty from coaches, very hard to find, isn't it, James? And clearly there's been a lot of honest conversations, and he is doing, and he will do, a hell of a job for that club again.
He will. It's good to see him. 31 years old. He means business now. I wouldn't say it's on his last hurrah, but it'd be good to see him do something at Leicester.
Let's round up the rest of the Premiership action now. Then, Jim, you said last week that Worcester would finish bottom and you'd eat your Timberland boots if they finished in the top 6. Any concerns after they beat London Irish?
Yes.
Hey, start marinating those boots, Jim.
Of course. Of course. I don't really know what to say. I only saw the highlights of the game. It was a good day for Worcester. Look. Like I said, I mentioned last week, out of all the teams, Worcester have recruited the highlights, I'd say, both from the backroom staff and the playing staff. Andrew, would I be right in saying that? But also, they've got history of doing that anyway. Do you know what I mean? Throwing the checkbook. They've had years of doing that.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
Did you see me looking down at the fourth screen? I was looking at you
exactly.
for the nod. London Irish could be in trouble as well. And in that sense, it's a massive win for them. There's obviously no relegation, but in the sense of my ridiculous comments of did I say top 6 or top 4?
No, you said top 6, James. If Worcester finish in the top 6, you'll eat your Timberland boots, is what you said.
Oh my goodness, mate!
Like you said, Jim. Some of the signings they've made. Willie Hines at 9 was outstanding at the weekend.
He was class. Yeah.
Owen Williams as well was great at 10, and that's, for me, that's a fulcrum of a team of 9 and 10 at times. Kovacic was in the back row. You know, he came through the academy there at Worcester. He's got the bit between his teeth again. You know, they've made some good signings, but Worcester don't want to get too carried away. It's one win against London Irish at home, and for all our listeners out there, and I said it, I think, previously, Worcester only won 1 game last year on the field in the Premiership, and that was the first game of the season at home against London Irish. So
hence my comments.
There you go, Jim. But I think they're going to be a bit different this year, and it was a great start. Bonus point win at home. Some of the young stars they've got there as well. I just hope they finish top 6, Jim. So you have to eat
headline though. Where's Ashy?
Rumour has it, I have heard on the grapevine, he ain't happy. Worcester ain't happy with him. He's going to be leaving there soon, possibly.
Oh God. Well, I'm desperate for him to get back in the team because they'll start losing again. Is that genuinely what you've heard, that he's not happy?
I genuinely have heard that, yeah.
Where's he going to go? Where, without being horrible to Worcester, where do you go? Ealing.
Ealing Trailblazers.
Coventry.
Why are you loving that, Jim?
I'm not loving it. I am, because Ash used to come in every single day and call me horrible names and say that I look like a bag of sick. When I was sat there and my Achilles was torn, my rib was broke, my fingers were pointing in different directions, and I couldn't even breathe out my nose because it was broken in 3 places. So Lenny deserves it.
Sale blew massively before coming back and snatching the win against Bath in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Some good youngsters. Again, we spoke about him last year. Rafi Quirk was unbelievable for Sale, making breaks for fun. You know, obviously, you talk about depth and squad depth and bringing through the youngsters. Sale seems to have that down to a T at the minute. You know, obviously, Faf de Klerk is your starting 9. He's one of the best 9s in the world. But to have Rafi Quirk coming off the bench for him, and now actually when Faf's away a lot, taking over and running the ship, he was brilliant. He really was. And listen, there's a lot of headlines around Cipriani going back to Sale on his first game. Sips went off. He got absolutely smoked by Van Rensburg in a fair tackle, just as he's passing the ball, to take the ball to the line. Van Rensburg has flown out the line, has absolutely smashed him in half, and then Sips has gone off. And actually, at the time, Bath was 17-6 down, I think, and really chasing the game a little bit early on. And they brought on Orlando Bailey. He went pretty well at 10. But for Sharks, you know, I didn't put them in the top 4. And I'm now, when I could see that Bath had pulled themselves back into the game and were ahead with about 5 to go, I'm thinking, yeah, exactly. That's why I didn't put them in the top 4. But then some of the youngsters come in, and Kieran Wilkinson comes on at 10 and slots the winner, which was great for him. Easy kick, but pressure kick still. Sale are going to be good. I just worry about him at 10 a little bit. If AJ McGinty's not there and he's away with the USA at the minute, and you know, there's so much pressure on him.
Talking of Bath, Andrew, I had a call with Bath last week.
To play again?
Yeah, No, not to play again. And it was all business. And Hoops called me out, mate, or called us out, but he called me out because I was on the call about being horrible last season on the arousing speech. So I denied it, obviously. I denied it, obviously.
So what did they say?
Well, we're just talking to them about potentially some behind the scenes stuff. And they're an interesting club, Bath. And I'm sat on the call thinking, please don't mention the arousing speech. Please don't mention the arousing speech. And of course, because he's a proud man and me and Hoops had many a battle against each other. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have played for Scotland. So thank you. He called me out, and rightly so. He says that I'm an idiot. He didn't say that I was an idiot. He basically just asked me why I did it. And he had a point, Andrew. Because if the slipper was on the other foot, I would have put them on my hands and asked the question myself. He just said, like, you know, calling me out, like, he's why? Kind of thing. And I was just, I denied and blamed it on Andy Rowe. he'd seen it anyway. So I don't know whether this is an apology or just an acceptance that I'm a bloody idiot. And we have to be careful sometimes, Andrew, of not belittling, but taking the pish basically out of people who are trying to do their job extremely well, who are in high pressure environments. So.
But you say that, Jim, right? And this is a thing. And let's have an honest chat about the podcast then, because I'm up in Newcastle at the weekend. I was at a dinner down in London and I was at Leicester. Every place I've gone over the weekend, people have said, love the podcast, don't change, just keep being you and Jim. You know, just keep doing what you're doing, where it's like you sat around having a few beers in the pub, having a chat and just saying what you think. Why can't you just, hey, Stuart Hooper's speech, I'm sorry, it was not arousing at all and it was quite awkward and we just chatted about it. So it's,
but
if you're going to go around apologising to everyone for having a bit of a laugh on a podcast, then...
Did I say I apologise? I blamed it on Andy Rowe.
Oh, okay, just blame someone else. Have a look in the mirror, Jim. Just be yourself. If you want to say something, say it.
Okay, right. It was arousing. All right, I've said it.
It was arousing from Saints over the weekend as well. Winning start for them. Bonus point win against Gloucester.
Fair play. Again, only saw the highlights, so I can't judge. It's so difficult to judge a game on the highlights. Andrew, and I know you've been busy into the rugby this weekend. You probably saw more of it than me. I was impressed with Gloucester. I'll be honest. I was impressed with Gloucester. The fact that they stuck in there.
What highlights have you been watching?
Well, going to Franklin Gardens, one of the best pitches. Is it called Franklin's Gardens? They've sold their soul, haven't they? Sold, which you want to do. The naming rights, I don't know whether the name of the pitches can't keep up. It's like Welford Road. It isn't like macaroni and cheese, whatever it's called.
It's called Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens.
Cinch? You come down to Cinch? What the fuck? What are you on about? Going to Franklin's Gardens, mate. No, you come to Cinch. Okay. I don't know why it's Spanish or, you know, I'm fluent in Portuguese as well. I thought Gloucester were right, were they not? Well, the highlights looked bloody good until Woody scored a try at the end of the game.
Mate, you're watching those highlights and thinking Gloucester looked all right. I'm watching those highlights. I'm watching a bit more of the game and just seeing how Saints played their offloading game. And Tom Wood, you can't teach an old dog from carve new tricks. Well, yes, you can. His ball handling was phenomenal.
I genuinely think, I watched him at the back end of last season. He's getting better still.
Yeah. You know, and Furbank was great at 15, and then he moves to 10. Grayson played pretty well at 10. They've got some quality youngsters as well. I think.
But go back on Gloucester. So from me watching the highlights, I'm just seeing decent tries. Are you saying that what I've seen is blinded by love?
I think so, yeah, because I watched it and I said Gloucester are going to finish bottom, and that's why they're going to finish bottom. Falling off tackles left, right, and centre. Yeah, falling off tackles left, right, and centre. That, you know, listen, they haven't recruited particularly well. I know they've got Adam Hastings to come, but personally, I don't think their squad depth is great, and I think they probably finished bottom in it. I mean, we must watch the same stuff, Jim, and just have completely different opinions, which I quite like, because you're blinded by the love of the cherry and whites and that speech, that arousing speech you did in the changing rooms a couple of weeks ago. It was fucking Bristol.
In there. It's fucking no shit, Jim.
So yeah, I'm watching it going. Gloucester are finishing bottom, and Saints have got a chance to push up and, you know, compete for top four. The big question around Saints is when the weather is good, their offloading game and the way Boydie likes them to play, and Sam the bogey monster Vesti as well. Those boys can play. They can fizz it around. It's the nitty-gritty tough stuff in the winter months that they got caught out a little bit last year in their power game when you need it as well. So, yeah, Gloucester bottom, Saints, decent day at the office.
You guys want to have a game? Guess the go at? You want to play that game? All right. So if you're listening to this for the first time, welcome for a start. Week 2, Gertie, you're up. I've got a sports star in mind, and you have 30 seconds, and there's many questions, yes or no questions, to try and work out who the sports star is that's in my mind.
Ready? Go. Man.
Yes.
Football.
No.
Rugby.
No.
Tennis.
No.
Golf.
No.
Oh, yes.
Oh, jeez. NBA.
No.
NFL.
No.
Swimming. Oh, no, I can't say anything. Sorry.
Swimming. What other sports
No.
are there? Shooting. What
No.
other sports are there? Oh, geez. No chance. Athletics. Michael Jordan. Michael.
No.
Usain Bolt.
How am I meant to get it now? So what sports? Let me dissect. So Andrew, you've not got it. I'm just saying, just let you know. Guess the go at, and you did not get it. So hang on, let me just. I don't have any time on there. It's not time precious, is it?
No, but you don't get any questions either. You just have to have a guess.
No, I've just got to think. Okay, so Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
Lies. I don't
Swear.
believe this.
Swear
Absolute lies.
on my life. Swear on my life.
Think of F1. I didn't even think of F1.
You didn't
Yes.
say motorsport.
I've absolutely smashed it. Oh, genuinely, hand on heart, that was a guess.
Fair play.
It's
If you two are honest,
it's called guess the go at. I swear on my life, Andrew.
if you
Look
two
at
are
me
honest,
down
I'll
the
take
barrel
that.
now.
I'll take
I
that.
swear. It's called guess the go at. Now go at to go at, as in Hamilton to Hamilton. I'm just.
That's a great shout, actually, Jim.
That's great.
Shout.
I was going to say Schumacher because I'm about to watch his documentary, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've been this happy ever.
That was amazing, Jim. That was amazing. I couldn't believe I didn't say F1 when you start listing the sports.
Would you, if you said F1, would you have got it? Do you think?
Probably
No.
not.
There you go. No,
Probably
not
not.
in 30 seconds.
There you
Oh,
go. You
gosh.
do get the panic, don't you? When you can't get the sport, you're just like, oh, it's impossible.
Well, there's a bit of international rugby going on at the weekend as well, wasn't there? What do you make of Australia's win over the Springboks in the Rugby Championship?
I mean,
Again, Andrew, I'm getting called
Springboks
out
are
left, right, and
fucked.
centre here. Yeah, you reckon? Because I'm getting called left, right, and centre because a few weeks ago, I called the Springboks the best team in the world or something on Twitter, and then the way that Twitter is now. By the way, talking to Twitter, don't mention 4G pictures. Tell the hate that. As all I'm saying is I called the Springboks the best team in the world because they beat the Lions and they're the world champions. And people are like, no, what are you talking about? They're probably right, to be fair.
They are.
Our Australia beating them like that.
Well, they played really well, actually. Corabietti was unbelievable. They had a load of power, the Aussies, and it's great to see them back. Listen, the Aussies, without beating around your bush, Jim, the Aussies have been shit for the last 4 years, haven't they, in reality? And you feel for Michael Hooper, who just is a warrior week in, week out. But sometimes he's looking around going, I ain't got anyone else that can do anything. But now they've got a bit of confidence, and Craig Cooper, again, the man. Nick White, huge performance as well. He's a friend of the show as well. And listen, South Africa have got to change something. It's got to be their mentality. I'm not saying change all your players, but you've got to shift your focus. They need the water boy back. Where is his greatness, Rassie Erasmus? With no water boy, they're losing games. Get him back.
Did you understand Craig Cooper's tweet or not? Shall I read it out for the masses?
Can you read it out, James?
It doesn't stop. It's a continuous process, which I get. That's obviously life, second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour, man to man. That you can make your new norm with consistent discipline each day. Basically, just stay disciplined. I get that bit. Improvement, open dash. Achievement, get that. This bit blows my mind. Now, it's so methodical, philosophical, and
Philosophical, what is it, James?
it is thought-provoking. Trust God, but always tie your camel up. So what's he saying? Is he questioning God that he wouldn't tie his camel up? Or is he talking about camel toe? What's going on?
This is the thing, though. So I think that's a contradiction. Because if you trust God, why do you need to tie your camel up? Because if you're trusting God that has basically ruled the world for years in a religious sense, your camel's all right, mate. Wherever you put him.
Who's tying camels up?
Camels should be roaming free in the desert.
But it depends. I think this is it. I think the clue is in the camel. The camel. Your camel knows, camel toes. Do you know what I mean? Like
camel nose, camel toes.
Camel nose, camel toes. Anyway, he's obviously on a path of greatness, and I'm in your slipstream. I am in the slipstream. I don't know where that's going to take me, but I will retweet, I will quote, and I will always tie up the camel.
Well, the new United Rugby Championship gets underway this weekend. Jim, you excited? What are you expecting from it?
Well, yes, I am excited. I'll put it out there. I'm commentating on a lot of the games, but also I've got to be true to myself and our listeners and be completely honest. The format is still impossible to work out. Nonetheless, it's rebranded, Rock Nation are involved, and hopefully as it unfolds, it will become clearer. I'm a simpleton, right? Believe it or not.
You're not
Shock. You were shocked. You were shocked that I said that. But trying to work out how these cross-pool things work, and with the stuff around COVID still and the travel, it's going to have its challenges, is what I'm trying to say. But I'm excited about it. I am, and I can't wait to see the South African teams in that format. I'm commentating on the big one at the weekend, Edinburgh versus Scarlets, and away we go.
Big signing for Ulster as well, Dwayne Vermeulen.
Huge.
Yeah, huge. And then I didn't realise he was that old. Did you?
Why being horrible? He ain't just come for a paycheck, Jim. Why are you being horrible? Why are you saying that?
Because I tweeted about it and people are calling me out again. And I don't know whether, because I've read the comments and stuff, I start second guessing myself. Yeah. 34.
Yeah.
Obviously battered himself. But I do think he's a quality player. So I'm sticking to my guns and I'm sticking to my tweet. Unbelievable. Wow. Huge. Holy smokes. Massive for Ulster. Obviously losing Marcelo Kutsia back to South Africa. We've lost another awesome South African, Irish number 8, and CJ Stander, who's retired as well. And the more high profile, the better. They also did sign Leone Nakawara.
Yeah.
I think he was absolutely buggered. So he's playing in France, is he, somewhere, or Japan or something like that?
No doubt. Take the Euros or the yen.
Yeah. So Duane Vermeulen, absolutely love him. When he's back fit playing for South Africa, he'll be back in the URC. Can't wait.
Well, let's finish things off then with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, let's do that. Loads of good this week. We're going to start off in Australia again. They got the good last week. They don't get it this week because I kind of expected them to beat South Africa again, but they came up with an even better performance and a more convincing win over the world champion Springboks. So tip the slipper to them. Sticking with Australia, Michael Hooper. It was his 60th game as skipper of Australia at the weekend, surpassing George Gregan as the player who's captained Australia the most times. So big tip of the slipper to Michael Hooper. Ulster, they get mentioned the good this week. We just mentioned it, signing Dwayne Vermeulen. A massive shout out to them. Biarritz down in France. And a fan of the show, the owner, Louis Vincent Garve. Great bloke. Get the odd message here or there on Instagram. They beat Racing this weekend, 28 points to 19. A hell of a performance from those boys again. They've taken to the top 14 pretty well since their promotion last year.
Didn't see it, but saw the result. Just FYI, if anyone's bothered.
Yeah, and Finn was on the bench. He was on the bench. He came on the pod last week and spoke to us. He was on the bench, came on, but didn't get the win for them. So big shout out to Biarritz. What else was good? 3 of my old clubs now. I just don't know which way to put them in. I don't know what order to put them in, James. 3 of my old clubs. Can you pick all 3 clubs I'm going to mention now?
I pick your number 1. Who's your favourite club?
No, you've got to pick the 3 clubs. I've played at a lot of clubs, but 3 of them are getting a mention now. So you need to tell me which 3.
Well, it's not going to be Newcastle, even though Adam Radwan has scored a couple of tries. He looked class. It ain't going to be Newcastle. Worcester, potentially, because that'll be their big win of the season. I'm joking. It won't be London Irish because they don't like you there and they lost. It might be Saracens because of the Bristol's win away at Bristol's. And it might be Leicester. I'm going to say, I think you're going to try and peel back this season. You're going for Saracens.
Well, I'm not, James. Breathe get mentioned in the good this week as well. they had a good win over. Yeah, they had a good win over in the top 14. Let's go with them. Worcester get a massive shout out this week. Bonus point win in round 1. I hope they finish in the top 6. So Jim has to eat his Timberland boots. Get them marinating, Jim, because I'm praying that Worcester finish top 6 this year, and we can do some footage around that, some content. Maybe we'll get Timberland to sponsor you eating their boots. That would make me very happy. What else was good? Saracens dominating Bristol's on Friday night. Alex Lazowski, 21 points, the most he's ever scored in a Premiership game. It's a big shout out to Saracens. They don't win the Gouda this week. That goes to the mighty Leicester Tigers. They dismantled Exeter at the weekend. Nick Dolly mixture scored 2 tries on debut. They looked like they were back. So Leicester Tigers, they get the Gouda this week. The bad, a few bits of bad actually. We're going to start for the Springboks. Bang average performance again, getting dismantled by Australia. We're going on lid watch again, James.
Well,
we did a
lid watch.
Lid watch, yeah. We did a bit of this last year. Some horrific lids to start round 1 of the Premiership. Kyle Rowe from London Irish. Have a look at his if you get a chance. Who else was bad? Harry Wells plays in the scrum cap, came off when he got sin-binned. Horrific lid under the scrum cap, but the winner of the worst lid this week goes to Tom Dunn. If you get a chance, have a look at Tom Dunn's lid. Shaved the top, fixed the top so it's as short as it can be, and he's just left a massive patch at the back of his head. Like, what are you doing, Tom Dunn? You're a hooker. Don't worry about your lid. Shave it all off. Bring your boots, bring your shoulder pads, bring your gum shield, and have a go. So they get mentioned the bad this week. What else was bad? We're going to go to France. Stade Francais played 3, lost 3. Getting absolutely hosed down at Toulon, 38 points to 5. Perpignan haven't taken to the top 14 particularly well either. They lost 47 points to 3 at Lyon. It's a pretty bad news to them. But here's a surprise for you, James.
What?
I'm gonna put a team in the bad that often gets a mention in the good.
Wasps.
No, they didn't play, James. So
I know, but that's what I mean. What's happened?
Well, nothing at Wasps. But the bad this week goes to the mighty Bristols. Not so mighty on Friday night. For 2 reasons. One, their performance. They got dominated at home by Saracens, very lackluster, very rusty. But the reason for that, didn't play any pre-season games. They're always in the good, or quite often they're in the good. So I just thought it's my only chance to put them in the bad. So Bristol's get the bad this week. And then the ugly, 2 bits of ugly, both coming out of France, surprisingly, James.
I know the one that you're going to talk about, and I'd be keen to throw a few lines onto this one that aren't going to be liked, but here we go. You go.
Right, so the first one is Renaud Petersay's ridiculous, mindless, flying exocet missile late hit for for Cast against Bordeaux. Red card, straight red card.
No doubt about it.
Back in the day, that is going full noise, 30-man brawl. Actually, Cast players couldn't really defend him, could they? So he just got filled in completely, but no one can throw a punch anymore, so it's going to be a red card. But yeah, I mean, what are you thinking there?
Well, he's lost his head, and his timing's out. I can't see it, albeit Nigel Owens putting a tweet out there and a few other people putting a tweet out there, how it is a lengthy ban. I've seen worse things on the rugby pitch. No, I mean, if you break it down, Chikawa, his timing's off by a couple of seconds. Even if he hits him high, it's the fact that the lad who's kicked, I don't know his name, has blasted it and he's jumped as Luku's kicked it, he's jumped in the air after, which has made it look a lot worse. I'm not defending the bloke at all. I'm not defending his actions, but it's not a lengthy ban. It's a red card, mate. All right, what do you think?
I think 10 weeks at least, 10 or 12 weeks. And it all depends on his discipline.
I've been banned a couple of times, 12 weeks. I don't see that.
Is that not
I'd say 6 months. I'd say 6 months is a lengthy ban, no?
Yeah. Well, I'm going sort of 10 or 12 weeks. It's ludicrous. He's committed to the tackle once he's known that Luku's kicking it. If you watch the video footage, and he's flown off his feet like an exocet missile, dangerous play. Absolutely no care in the world for Luku. He's just trying to clean him out, and he's lucky. And I say this, people are like, oh, it's a fair challenge. It's just a little bit late. He's lucky he's not knocked his head off. So you cannot leave the ground and dive into a tackle like that. You just can't. Can he do it?
Dangerous. Well, that's the thing. If Luku didn't jump, he would have taken his head off.
Yeah.
Lengthy banker, man.
There you go. We've convinced Jim. So that was the ugly, but it doesn't win the ugly, surprisingly, because something else has come out of France, which is even uglier. Do you remember Ludovic Radosevich, the Clermont scrum half?
No.
You don't remember him. I commentated a lot on the top 14. He played a fair bit for Clermont. Anyway, ex-Clermont number 9. He's now playing at Provence in the south of France, Pro D2. He made racist remarks against Neva's Cameroonian wing, Christian Ambandiang. And I don't really want to say what he said, but he had a 52-week ban reduced to 26 weeks because he said he was guilty, admitted it. So racist abuse on the rugby field.
Did say that.
Absolutely no place for it. So Ludovic Radosevich, you get the ugly this week.
Here.
Thanks, Goody. And you guys got a couple of shout outs to finish off with as well, don't you?
Yeah, got a big shout out to Charlie Nilsson and 4 of his mates who are running 133 miles over 3 days from the west of Devon to the east along the south coast. He's fundraising in his dad's memory after his dad died with pancreatic cancer. He was a massive Exeter Chiefs fan and a massive supporter of women's rugby. If you want to help out Charlie, you can just check out the page. It's justgiving.com/fundraising/Charlie-Nilsson.
Yeah, a massive shout out to Charlie. And finally, a huge shout to everyone at Henley Hawks Rugby Club who have set up a GoFundMe page after the very sad news. One of their locks, Dave Hyde, died from a heart attack at the age of 29 after their first game of the season. Loads of stuff's been going around on social media. It's very sad. He's left a wife and a young son. And if anyone can help out any way they can, go on GoFundMe, which is a page they've set up, and type in Dave Hyde. Any help will be hugely appreciated. They're up to 70,000, but we need to try and raise as much money as we can because a very sad story. A lovely bloke, a guy that was the heartbeat of the club, unfortunately passing away from a heart attack after their first game of the season. So we wish Dave Hyde's family, his wife and his young son all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Hero. I saw that. And yeah, it was shocking.
Thanks, Goody. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, producer Tristan. And thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and make sure you've subscribed on Spotify.
How to save a life. I saved Andy Rowe's life. Rugby Spod.
Spotify, pod.